Hi, my name is Bobby Sayers. I'm an artist, producer and poet, currently based in Rotterdam. I'm from the UK and I moved here to study my MFA at the Piet's Art Institute. My practice has more recently been focused around social engagement, or the way that I've started to see how it exists. I've always been performing and making sculpture, and yeah, I kind of try to look in to find the hidden value of things. This has a focus around class. Being from the UK, it's a very poignant subject. It's kind of really frames how a lot of things function, and yeah, it's kind of connects to work, workers' rights, land ownership, and I guess the identity has been more and more coming into my work, considering thinking about where and how I exist or how I frame myself. Coming from an area in Essex in the UK where a lot of change has taken place, and now there's a lack of symbols and rituals and things that kind of define who we are. So the recent work that I've been sort of developing is taking stories from archives that kind of focus around societal or personal transformation and working those into performance, but also into objects. One element of this is that I've always had a struggle with how galleries connect with people, so I've wanted to understand how we can push beyond the gallery, or how the gallery functions between the artist and everyone else in society. So for me, I'm thinking a lot about, especially during the pandemic as well, where we interact with creativity, where art exists. So for a lot of us, we might engage with things on Netflix, or the products we buy have a sort of have creativity sort of inherent or like inbuilt within it. And I've been interested in seeing what I can do with that as kind of a recent development in my practice. The pandemic for me, at the start, I definitely struggled trying to find like the balance of where, like how to be. And I mean, one blessing was having a studio to come to, to kind of another space to come outside the home. But what became interesting to me was like doing socially engaged projects, was how I could carry this on, or what project would be of interest to me and would connect with people. So I ended up curating a project called Creative Food Box, which invited 3 other artists with me to create a box each of food, a recipe that connected to their artwork, and to create an artwork that could go within this box and be delivered to people free in the area that we as artists lived, in Rotterdam South in Charlotte. So that was a really exciting project. So for me, I got to explore some of the stories and translate those into Dutch, and to see how like artworks could exist in a new way, literally go to people rather than them have to push to get over that that barrier of entering the gallery, which sometimes for some people can be a bit scary actually, because it can seem like a clinical space sometimes. So it was really good to sort of explore that project. And then that led to another project, which was wanting to take these stories and develop sculptures that could exist as soaps. So these became available through a gallery and shop which is called Life, based in Rotterdam, and I was able to sort of sell those soaps and to attach a hand-painted story to each one. So the person that received the soap would also be able to engage with these stories, and this particular one was about how two brothers changed their life and transformed their relationship to violence, and how a whole village chose to give up violence and give up their swords. It's an old story from Essex in the 1700s. The first work that I would really consider as an artist, I mean, there was lots of small projects I did when I was based at university, but I would really consider my graduation project, which was in 2012, of my bachelor's in Nottingham in the UK, and it was a giant crate, a crate that was used to move artworks, and it was extremely blue and almost like a cartoonish or like grotesque in a very kitsch way. But I was interested in highlighting this kind of work that takes place around art. So like this manual labor that means that something can exist, like nothing just appears out of nowhere. There's this extra work that takes place. I mean, even I'm talking in a camera and there's someone sitting behind. There's lots of stuff that happens behind the scenes that doesn't always get the recognition. So I was really interested in that, especially growing up in a family which is not an academic family, it's very working class, and just thinking about how people don't always get this recognition So and that has changed. Like the work, I don't do work exactly like that anymore, but I mean, I'm sure if you saw that work and you saw my work today, there would definitely, you could see the links, let's say. Past inspirations or artists or projects that have kind of made a big difference. Some of these have been more recent than others, but I would say particularly Steve McQueen is my number one. I don't work so much in film, but it's something that I really enjoy. Like I enjoy to play with how I document my performances, and it's something I would love to work in more, like film particularly. I love to see how he came from a performance background, and to see how those techniques he developed in his performances actually play out in the way he makes the film, which I find super exciting. And then of course showing British history, Black history, that it's not talked about or not seen is just super important. And yes, for me, showing these different parts of history is something that is really interesting to me. But the way he does it is just so beautiful. I really recommend checking out his new series, Small Acts. Another inspiration, I guess there's many, but I would say an introduction to many of the practitioners that I found that were inspiring to me came through Viviana Chichia, who is or was the curator of the CCA in Glasgow, who worked as the public programmer, maybe I've got the role not exactly right, and was moved to become the curator. So she kind of flipped it on its head and made socially engaged art, and education into kind of one, try to not make a difference, and the way people were invited into the space and the projects and how they became center stage, I found really impressive. And she did a big symposium on socially engaged practice, and a lot of the practitioners there I found really inspiring. So she's definitely one person on her own, and also the way she brings others in has been really inspiring. And then the last, I would probably say Grayson Perry. Some people see him as quite a cliche, or having problematic small things within his work because it's so kitsch, or it's so it's so mainstream now. He's on TV, but for me, that idea of using this platform of television, but also he's from Essex, where I'm from, so to see someone act in a different way and to push what it means to be a man, or to be an artist and connect with communities, that for me was really inspiring, and I still find very inspiring. 2021, I'm sure it's not going to go to plan, but the plan is I'm working on some new poetry, which I'm hoping to formulate into a book. It's kind of going to be a bit different in that it's not just poetry this time. It's kind of going to be some kind of discussions around what it means to be from Essex and be a man, and the stereotypes all around those subject matters. So even though it focuses on a local area, it kind of explodes a lot of subject matters. I'm also working on these stories that I was speaking about, which is retelling stories around workers' rights, land ownership, and I kind of see them as these stories of personal or societal transformation. So I'm interested in researching more of those and able to bring them into an artwork somehow. And at the moment, they're existing as they're going to be knitted tracksuits. So each one becomes a knitted tracksuit with neon sculptures that kind of connect with those. So they come into different lives, and so the story can be found in different ways or be worn. And this exists for different reasons, for aesthetic reasons, but also this idea of writing on the body came from reading about the first encounter with early people from Essex, which was they would paint blue on their body to tell stories. So I thought it's really interesting to try and tap into that idea, and for me also, I really struggle to memorize words, just the way that my brain functions. But so having it broken down into icons, I can remember the stories and I can retell them, or if I get stuck, I can look at my body because I'm covered in the stories. And that kind of also translates into these sculptural soaps, which I love, that they can then go into people's homes, and maybe when they're washing with them or using them, they can think about these stories, as a way to sort of inspire what could be possible today, because it has been possible, or it was a change was made, and thinking about these things. And then the other one is thinking about performance. I used to put on performance events in Rotterdam, and I really want to do that again. So I'm thinking about how can that be possible, maybe with some filmed events that can be broadcast online, or if we can get people together in a room, I'd be very, very excited. So if there's any musicians, performers, anyone that wants to be on a stage in any kind of form, please get in touch. I would love that. And let's put on some amazing events and bring everyone together, because I don't know about you, but I'm very much craving it. Yeah.